What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.
Daddy! Settle down, man.
Dear Georgia Legislature, no guards or bologna sandwiches were harmed in the making of this video of the Frosty Shit Show saga. Love, Georgia citizens.
All right, folks, how are you today? I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. BKP Politics, little nugget of truth here. Now, I understand it looks like I have a green screen, but with my lighting, some of the colors of my shirt. So don't go into any trance or anything, okay? You're all right. But anyhow, I'm your host, BKP. You're watching BKP Politics. We're on Vora. Our Substack is over on Vora. Our Substack is Vora at BKP Politics. And then we're on X, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, you name it, voiceofruralamerica.com. Now, crossover week. So, let me get my pictures set here for the day. We all know that as soon as Kash Patel finishes chugging that beer, it's one of my favorites, right? So today is crossover. And what does that mean in the Georgia legislature? Oh, that's the boy wonder. I'll get there, right? There it is. So today is Friday. This is crossover week. Friday, March 6th. You know the drill. What is at the Senate, Georgia State Senate, by midnight Friday night, goes over to the House. What's over at the House goes back over to the Senate. There is so much going on this week. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing 2 programs today. I can't do 3 hours straight. I can't do 3 hours straight. Now, next week or later in the week, we're going to be adding a little commercial break in. People have asked if they can put advertising on the program. We said yes, and it will not be endorsement advertising, but we'll be putting it on. So we'll be adding in a couple commercials where I could take a drink of my coffee or at least go, take a deep breath, which you don't want me to do that in the microphone. So let me do my impression of John Burns, Speaker of the House of Georgia. Ready? This is my impression of John Burns, the Speaker of the House of Georgia. Come Friday night, Saturday morning, 12:01 a.m., Saturday morning, right? Anyhow, my impression, John Burns. Hey, where is that trash can? Where is it? I thought I had it right here next to the desk. You know, the one marked Senate bills? I just had to do it. I watched the state ethics. I watched the Senate Ethics Committee hearing yesterday with the boy wonder. And there were some great people on there trying to present a bill for election integrity that should have been done years ago. But, you know, John Burns is over there. File that bill. You know that one just came from the Senate? File that in that special can, that box. Put it in that box over there. We'll get to it later. So that is Friday. And I have asked you multiple times, please keep an eye on crossover week. We're going to go through a lot of things. If you have a bill out there. So I was thinking about this. I want to ask a question. the Burt Jones campaign is on a slippery slope downhill. It is. Okay? And I'm going to go through in depth. It's in a slippery slope downhill. Can Burt Jones' campaign for governor of Georgia, can it change the trajectory? Can it turn and start back uphill without slipping and sliding? Can it get traction? Or, for those that are going to be angry at me, are we seeing the beginning of the end of the Burt Jones campaign? I'm just saying that because we're going to look at a couple things. Because I do know the Georgia House of Representatives will possibly be saying checkmate on the Georgia State Senate before the end of the week. Now, this is what we all want to remember on a daily basis, the albino rhino, okay? That's that stunned look as though I'm about to go to jail. Maybe, we don't know. We don't know, but we just want to give you a quick albino rhino. I want to talk about this later in the week when I have time, but I call it the Brad Raffensperger boogeyman, right? And I'm on campaign qualification watch for Brad Raffensperger. But Nathaniel Darnell, who worked at Banker's Life and whatever that is, the first time, we'll call it, he made a mistake. And, the guy comes by his cubicle and says, did you refer that client? Did I hear you refer that client to First Liberty Building and Loan? Yes. I really make great commissions there. In fact, when I refer someone, this is just me saying this, okay? When I refer someone, it's what I think that cubicle sound like. I can just hear the cha-ching for my commissions. Okay. So let's not do that again, all right? Let's not do that again, all right? Okay. Then the supervisor, did I hear you once again? Didn't we talk about that Yes, but see, I'm wondering where the people that are crying for Nathaniel Darnell in tears, because the boogeyman, Brad Raffensperger, told Nathaniel Darnell to keep making deals. This is how it sounds. And then the nerve to take pro-life. I'm serious. I mean, I'm just like, all right, come on, people. I'm pro-life. All right? To take pro-life and put up the family picture with the ultrasound right there of the baby, and poor Nathaniel lost his inheritance. Here's all I want to say on this, and we'll get to a little more of it later. I am waiting for the first person to put up a GoFundMe page for poor Nathaniel Darnell to recover his inheritance that he lost. Why, hold on, I'm about to have an Erica Kirk moment. I'm waiting for it, right? They're going to have the dog and pony show. Now, as I've always said, the rank and file, as I call it, the rank and file out there, you're great people. Kick all this trash to the road. Kick all the leadership to the road. Say, get the hell out of our organization. Bring in some new leadership. Clean up some of your rules that will hopefully prevent this kind of leadership in the future, or the cult following that the Frost family, that I feel, put in place for the GRA, right? Clean it all up and start again. And, I'll help you any way I can. But right now, really? And they're going to have their dog and pony show, the GRA, and bring candidates in. Here's what I can't wait. I can't wait to see that candidate say, I'm endorsed by the GRA. I can't wait. Can't wait. Can't wait for that one. In fact, we will be glad to put you right here on the show and then ask you, while you're holding that endorsement, okay, how does that make you feel? Anyhow, So we'll get into that a little later. Let's go to the Georgia Republican Party. The Georgia Republican Party primary for governor. Now, this is the women of Hall County, the Republican women of Hall County. This is their graphic. And I want to make sure I do not, take their graphic not take their graphic and give them credit for it. I think it's Republican women for Hall County. What a great graphic up there. So today in Texas. So how do we get here? Okay. Because we're going to backtrack here. We always hear what? Vote red. Okay. Now, what is happening in Texas? It's a primary today. And this does affect Georgia. Because there's actually 4 people. Now, the other gentleman was at Hunt. I forget the other gentleman in the Republican Party primary out there in Texas, but this is the main focus. You've got Tallarico, right? You got Tallarico. Is it James Tallarico? Then you've got Ken Paxton, John Cornyn, sitting U.S. Senator of Texas, Republican, and Jasmine Crockett. So you come here, and I'm going to say you come here for the truth. So relax, because you're going to hear things on this show that you don't hear anywhere else. Because I'm not monitoring, I'm not sending my comments through the sanitizer and getting them out the other side. I don't have people review the script and say, now let's change this, all right? This is pure, hardcore truth, and that's why you're tuned in. Because I'm going to tell you what's happening here today. So Paxton and Cornyn are going at it, and the thought is, all right, and President Trump has not weighed in on this Senate race here in Texas, but the thought is, if Cornyn wins, maybe he can hold on to that Senate seat for Texas. If Paxton wins the primary, Republican primary, they say definitely. Now, this is some of the polling out of Texas. They say definitely that they'll lose. Now, I got some people in Texas mad about that. I'm not saying that's the fact. That's not what I see. I'm just reading everything that's coming out, that they're trying to lay the groundwork that Texas will definitely lose if Paxton's the nominee. But I'm going to tell you the big difference here. And it's called the AOC, right? The AOC. Because remember, AOC went around the country and talked about the Green New Deal and cow flatulence, right? And people laughed. I mean, it was humorous. Remember that? Remember how funny it was, the Green New Deal and AOC, and she's a bartender? Only may I say, the executive orders that President Trump has signed has rescinded most of the Green New Deal. But if and when a Democrat gets back in the White House, or they take majority, whichever first, they will start funding that Green New Deal again and end all those executive orders. But, so, in the center are the older gentlemen. We'll put it like that. The older gentlemen. Regardless of who wins with the Democrat and Republican, it will be youth up against age. Now, they tell you, President Trump, the biggest voting bloc he's lost are young people. Pay attention, right? So the narrative is that's the biggest voting bloc that President Trump has lost is young people. So Cornyn and Paxton are going to have a hard time representing that voting bloc. Now, AOC, Crockett, and James Tallarico, youth. AOC is being put out there as maybe presidential or a vice presidential. I don't know. Stop laughing about it. Stop the laughter now on the former bartender from New York City who we laughed at on the Green New Deal. Please do not chuckle any longer. But let's go here for tonight. This is the primary tonight. If Republicans are nervous, and I'll tell you why. Because if Crockett wins, they can run all the Republicans or the dark money or the nasty people on X, they can run all their hood rat campaign against her, right? There'll be pictures of her eyelashes out this far, right? They will take her to this can be. Crockett is who the Republicans would love to have as a poster all across the country going into the midterms, running for Senate in Texas that they could use. The hood rat. You came here for the truth. You came here for the truth, so relax. Bring it down. Simmer down. Whether you liked it or not, facts are facts. Now, both of them represent youth. But Tallarico is dangerous. Oh, Tallarico is dangerous. I have done speeches on this. I've put this on this show. I put it out a year ago. All right. Right? Mm-hmm. He goes on podcast. He causes a Christian to question. Because let me tell you what happens to Tallarico. Is because here's where we're at. Vote red. Vote red. And I'm going to tell you, there's a major block of voters out there, and even Republicans that are saying, why? Why? I know you don't like that. But they are. They're saying, why? It used to be vote red, top to bottom, vote red, pull the R. Boom. Why? Whether you like that question or not. Now, tonight you're going to see if James Tallarico wins the Democrat primary in Texas, it will take away the direction Republicans can run in from here on out across the country when it comes to the Senate and trying to hold the House. This young man, I'll call him a kid, but this young man will be the why vote red. Jason Estevez, the young man with a young family in Georgia, could be the why vote red. Watch and see. Now, I asked you this the other day. President Trump said, and we'll get past this because I want to do this because I want to get into we've got a lot in Georgia going on, all right? So, right here. Trump hurls very cutting insult at Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, after conservative pair slammed his bombing of Iran. Trump said, I think MAGA is Trump. All right. Now, wait a minute. So I asked you this last week, and I'm going to ask you again. Is there a difference in Make America Great Again Is there a difference in Make America Great Again and MAGA? Is there a difference? If so, what's the difference? And when we get down to 2026, how will the voting blocks break out? Especially if someone like James Tallarico is on the ballot in Texas. They want Crockett to win tonight. There's Republicans saying those prayers. So we're on campaign qualifying watch, and we'll probably, that goes all week long. We're qualifying, right? And we're qualifying in Georgia this week, qualifying week, and we're waiting for vote red, right? So we're still waiting right now that I'm aware of. As I come to you, the only one is Chris Carr that is qualified for Georgia Republican ballot. We still have Clark Dean and Rick Jackson and Burt Jones, Brad Raffensperger, and Ken Yasgur. Ken is just a great guy. He's really a good guy. He is. He's a good guy. But anyhow, so we're on Raffensperger watch because I want to ask you a question. We're going to get into this later in the week. You see, Georgia has, I call it the Great Georgia Bible Box. Yeah, I call it the Great Georgia Bible Box. You see, this right here is a cut from Brad Raffensperger's campaign, Bradford, Georgia. Finally, be strong in the Lord, and in the strength of his might, put on the whole armor of God. Ephesians 6, 10 through 13. And that would happen to be Brad reading his Bible. Just saying. So Georgia has, and I will, you tell me what you think about that. I call it the Great Georgia Bible Box. Yes. Just saying. So pay attention to that. The other thing is I call selective acceptance, right? We have got into what I call selective acceptance. Now here is Burt Jones. Let's get into this race because we got a lot to do today. We've got to. Here's Burt Jones with his friend Josh McCoon, chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. And I don't know what Burt is saying at this time. If he's saying, hey, Josh, I'm right here for you. I will participate, or I'll back you all the way in your destruction of our party in the state. I'm behind you all the way, Josh McCoon. Yes, we'll talk about that later. And then we have, because here's where I'm going with this, okay? Until Rick Jackson got in the race, as many of you like to refer to him, the billionaire, as Rick Jackson got in the race, the options were limited. There was a hell to the no, to the triple hell to the no on Brad Raffensperger. That's for the base. Wait a minute, this is base. Because I've told you all along, Georgia has a large number of lanes in the Republican Party. Democrats do not have all the lanes that we have. We have lanes. Oh, yes. We are like I-75 headed south, man. And every time we get traffic, what we do is instead of alleviating the traffic in other ways, we say, let's add another lane. So if you're on 8 lanes of 75, if it's the Georgia Republican Party, we'll put another lane in there in a heartbeat, right? And guess what? No one knows how to merge and get in another lane to get to the general election. And this may be the last one, because you were able to merge lanes, in 2024, 2020 we won't talk about right now, 2022, but 2026, what will happen? The Great Divide. So that being said, Burt Jones was the only viable option. Only viable option. Because everybody, Clark Dean, nice guy, but really hasn't broke into the base. Ken Yasgur, oh, what an amazing guy. Just a great guy. Probably just don't have the money to get his name out and get the motion turning that he needs. So the only three options most voters in Georgia, Republican voters for the primary, Chris Carr, no. Brad Raffensperger, hell to the no. Burt Jones, okay. Well, Burt's okay. He likes Jason Aldean, and yeah, he's okay. You know, he's got a red hat, and it says MAGA, and he's got pictures with Trump, and he is endorsed. We'll go Burt because there's not an option. And then Rick Jackson comes into it. I didn't do that, by the way. For those of you out there that are angry, huff. I'm huffing and puffing. Maybe I should throw the puffing in. You're just angry because everything was okay. I love this, right? Josh McCoon, there is Sally Grubhub, right? And Burt Jones and the Blueberry. Everything was just fine. While we were fine, we were grifting along, singing our song. We were fine. Why, we were going to just roll into the semis, baby. That'd be the great Lombowski. I don't think you understand that. If you do, let me know. We're going to roll right into the semis, baby. We're going to roll right in. Bert's the guy. Happy days are here again. Bert's our man. We'll cheer again. Right? Everything was good. It was all good. And then, what do you mean? What do you mean someone wants to be governor other than Burt? I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I have watched the freakout zone for 3 weeks. And all I'm doing here is watching it and saying, okay, how's this developing? And I'm in tune with politics. I watched politics my whole entire life. And I could see a campaign gasping for air, right? I could see that. I could see, a campaign saying, how do we turn this around? I've watched them my whole life. I mean, look at Jeb Bush, by the way. You like to say Rick Jackson. You like to say Jeb Bush. Remember, Jeb Bush was supposed to be the front runner. Boom! Something happened. This guy came along. His name was Trump. And Jeb Bush said, you're not going to bully your way into this nomination, Donald J. Trump. So, anyhow, everything was fine. But then Rick Jackson got into the race. And yes, he's wealthy. And yes, he hired a team. And yes, they put a plan together. And yes, they're going straight forward. And someone is exposing some things that has Burt Jones' campaign very uncomfortable. And some things are not. You see, before Rick Jackson came into play, Burt and the Boy Wonder. Where is that damn Boy Wonder? How far off am I? Right here, right? Rick Jackson is not there. And then you got Burt and the Boy Wonder. Well, they have plans. Why, they're going to pull off all of these stunts in the Georgia State Senate. They're going to say MAGA. They're going to put out a video says MAGA something. Jason Aldean will sing a song for them. MAGA here, MAGA there, MAGA everywhere. Look at my red cap. Vote for me. Whatever. They had it all planned. But then how dare you? So that being said, I'm actually wondering if the campaign, there he is, the Boy Wonder. I watched the Boy Wonder yesterday. And when he's down there in the Georgia State, that is the Boy Wonder right there. His name would be, is it Gregory? Is that his legal name, Gregory? We call him Greg the Weasel Dolezal here. And there he is with Ron Pitts. That's one of his dear friends in Fulton County. And there's Brian Kemp. So Burt Jones is doing anything to turn this ship around. And Rick Jackson's campaign has their boot on Burt Jones' neck, the campaign's neck, and they're not coming off it. Now, I don't know. I will tell you this. Last week, I said, has Rick Jackson come into the campaign so fast that this meteorite's going to cool off when it hits the atmosphere? I mean, are things going to go boom and then we're going to do this for a little bit? That's what I thought. Would this happen? And just when I thought things would be calm, like before the storm, Rick Jackson's campaign ratchets up that country music song from AI. Like, wow, we'll get to that in just a minute. So here is Governor Brian Kemp. And you can see there, he is at the New York Stock Exchange yesterday ringing the bell, right? And he doesn't take Donna Summers with him, but he takes Marty, Brian and Marty standing right there, Brian and Marty. The governors of Georgia, you know what happens to me when I have to say that. But who is on the far end? Getting his clap on? Wait a minute. Clap on. Sounds like a commercial. That would be Burt Jones on the far end. Burt's there. Burt's like, I'll go to the New York Stock Exchange. FIFA. Atlanta. The mayor of Atlanta. I must do something to get some footing. Maybe I can get a minute with Kemp and look at him and say, what's happening here? I don't know. Well, Burt was in New York getting his, right? So I'm going to come back to the biggest question I'm going to ask you today, and you better buckle up for this. So I'm thinking, okay, all right. So it is, what is it? It is, it's crossover. So I'm looking at things and I'm asking you, look, keep an eye on sports betting. We talked about this. Keep an eye on Macon, where the gaming group purchased the old J.C. Penney store there in Macon. Going to turn it into a casino. I told you to watch that. We got crossover. And then, we got, wait a minute. So I told you this, remember, so I got to thinking. I did. And this is why I might do 2 shows today, because I got to thinking, I want to see. Remember, Georgia Senate, all right, so data centers, right? Data centers. Let's stay focused for a minute. Because I want to know the truth. As long as I know the truth, then I can make a decision on what I want to do as a voter. So 1 minute I'm hearing a politician say they're going to claw back. They're going to claw back the tax breaks they gave data centers. Then the next minute I'm hearing that data centers are going to have to pay for their own electricity. Then I hear that a bill that would force Georgia Power to do that has been pulled off the floor and it's going to get altered. Then I hear Georgia Power may be in cahoots with people, really people, yes, down there at the Capitol. And I'm like, wait a minute, what in the hell is the truth here? What is the truth on the whole data center power? What's going on? So I brought this to you the other day. And Georgia Senate skips vote on bill to block data center cost from hitting the power bills. So there wasn't a vote. And see, the bill would block Georgia Power. Pay attention to this, where I'm going. The bill would block Georgia Power from rate increases. Now remember, Georgia Power came out and said the data centers in Georgia would be like 10 times would require the power 10 times that of Plant Vogtle, the nuke plant that only cost, $1 billion in cost overruns or whatever down there for Georgia Power, right? And who paid the bill? So Georgia State Senate, presided over by the Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Now you got the boy wonder out there Greg Dolezal, running for lieutenant governor, screaming he's going to take all these great tax breaks from the data centers away from them. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, what about the power bill? So here we go. I told you to watch this week. Watch. This is crossover. You better pay attention because what I'm about to show you. The Georgia Senate adjourned Thursday, this is last Thursday, without voting on a bill that would prevent electric utilities from passing data center infrastructure costs onto residential customers. Senate Bill 34 would prohibit Georgia Power, stay with Georgia Power, and other utilities from charging residential customers and small businesses for the cost associated with powering large commercial data centers. So Georgia Power data centers, okay. Senate, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, State Senator Chuck Hufstedler, a Rome Republican who sponsored the bill, said the version that reached the Senate floor had been weakened in committee. He planned to introduce an amendment restoring protections to ratepayers, but never got the chance before the Senate adjourned. We don't want customers being held hostage. If the AI bubble goes away, who's going to pay for it? So wait a minute. Data centers, Georgia Power, a bill in the Senate presided over by Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones that boy wonder Greg Dolezal's out bragging about reversing the tax breaks. You can't trust any of these damn people. It's just me saying that, all right? And what? Wait a minute. They pulled the bill and they weakened it. So here you go. I'm going to go back. I'm going to show you something here. So I got to thinking. I just did. I got to thinking. And I said, data center regulations left in limbo in Georgia Senate. Hours before the 13-year-old lawmaker had cobbled together enough support to avoid what he saw as gutting his bill to protect Georgia homeowners and businesses from data center boom. In his hand was the amendment to restore the original version of SB 34. So remember, the original version of SB 34, they've got it stripped down. Georgia Power, data centers, Lieutenant Governor, Senate. Keep connecting these dots, right? Measures that have become ground zero. So, okay, I told you pay attention to that this week, right? So then I got to thinking, well, wait a minute. So then I get notifications. I'm on everybody's notifications, right? So I get this right here. I get a notification from what the X calls team, right? This is Team Jackson. You can follow him. I get this note. Burt Jones went on radio last Friday and lied about data centers being planned for his family's property. The full truth is even worse than it seems. So they put this out that Burt Jones lied. Now, I'm going to, wait a minute, let me play this for you, okay? So I'm going to play this because, again, I was like, wait a minute, is this real? We're in the age of AI. Is this real? Okay? So let me get it all set up here for you. Come on. Hang tight. It keeps going away. Let me see if I can get it back in here. All right. Hang tight. And over here. So listen to this. We just hold.
You can come down here, Ben. You know where I live. There is no property that we have that exists that has been sold to a data center. There is no data center on any real estate that we have, and they used to try to say it was a hospital. Well, when that didn't get any traction, they turned it to a data center. And, well, guess what? There's neither. You can come down here, Ben. You know where I live. there is no property that we have that exists that has been sold to a data center. There is no data center on any real estate that we have, and they used to try to say it was a hospital.
All right. Okay. So I got to thinking. No, wait a minute. So hold on. Let me get this all set back up. So I did. I got to thinking. I said, well, wait a minute. What if this is AI? I mean, is the Jackson team putting out something? So I asked AI. I said to AI, I said, hey, did Burt Jones go on an interview Friday? Did he go on an interview Friday and make these claims about the data center? So I went to AI and I said, hey, what's going on here? And this is what AI said to me. In a radio interview on Friday, February 28, 2025, Georgia Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones stated that neither he nor his family had current plans to build a data center or hospital on their property. Key details from the comment. Property plans. Jones addressed recent reports by stating his family has no plans for these specific developments on their land in Butts County. Political context. These comments follow months of scrutiny. Data Park reports. Recent filing has suggested a $10 billion project called River Park, located on land owned by Jones's father. So, Jones and his spokesperson have characterized the filing as a simple rezoning application by a private company. All right? So you heard that. Nothing to see here. Certificate of need. Now, you got to keep in mind, Mr. Jones there, very crafty in his comments. So here we have Georgians for Integrity, paid for by Georgians for Integrity, Inc., that have spent $14 million plus, stating that Burt Jones is taking you taxpayers for a ride. Okay? So, going back, I thought, well, let's go once again to AI and see if there's any truth to this. So the radio interview, I got that, right? So let's go here. So I asked AI, I said, hey, are they just making this up? What's the deal on this property? And I said, what's the deal? What's the deal, man? Bill Jones, I went to AI. Bill Jones, a former state legislator and father of Georgia Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, is leading a $10 billion mega project in Butts County known as the Highway 16 Interstate Health Development, located near Interstate 75. The development spans roughly 250 acres, adjacent to an existing River Park industrial site. The project, managed through Jones' company, Interstate Health Systems, consists of three primary components. Data center complex. The bulk of the site will house approximately 11 million square feet of data centers across 13 designated lots. This would make it one of the largest data center developments in Georgia. Okay. A new hospital. Medical office space, 1.2 million. Certificate of need, we've talked about that. So I got to thinking even a little further. Well, wait a minute. Now you got the Georgia Power thing. You got SB 34 was pulled off, weakened. And I got to thinking, I said, well, okay. So here's the deal. Here's the deal, man. So Georgia for Integrity Project spends $14 million saying these data centers are real. He goes on a radio station and says, no, they're not real. The Jackson campaign says he lies and put the audio out. I played it for you. AI said, yes, Burt Jones did go on this radio show and say that there's no data centers. Then I go to AI and ask AI, and AI says, yes, there is data centers projected. The whole project is set up, and it's to be completed by 2040. That's what I'm saying, right? After the 2026 election, full swing, boom, right? But that's what AI said. And then I started looking at Georgia Power and the bill. So I said, let me just look at one more thing. I have one more thing of interest. So Georgia Power, now I received a phone call earlier in the week that said you might want to look into Georgia Power and a possible cozy relationship with someone very close to Burt Jones. Ready? One more time. I received a call that said you might want to start trying to look into someone that has a very cozy relationship with Georgia Power and also a very cozy relationship with Burt Jones. And you know why I received that call? It's because I'm asking questions like, hey, what happened to Senate Bill 34 in the Senate? And why did they strip it? And why are they not protecting rate hikes by these data centers with Georgia Power? So that's when I get the call saying you might want to find someone that's very cozy with Burt Jones, that's cozy with Georgia Power. Why is that? So, my wheels get to turning upstairs here. I get to turning. The weather has been good, a couple cheap cigars. I'm thinking things out, and I'm like, wait a minute. Then the lie, what Team Jackson says, the lie that Burt Jones told. I said, I wonder if the project that Burt Jones' father owns, I wonder if that's serviced by Georgia Power. Just occurred to me. Wonder if Georgia Power would be providing those data centers the power. Just wondering. So I went back to AI. And I said to AI, I said, AI, could you answer me this? And I went into great detail of where the project is, who it belongs to, where it's at, Georgia Power, their service area. And I always like when AI starts out with yes. I like two things when I go to AI and ask a question when they say yes or you're correct. Those are my two favorite. Now, yes, Georgia Power is the utility provider for the area in Butts County where Bill Jones, father of Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, is developing the massive River Park project. Project and service details. Location. The development is approximately 1,200 acre site along I-75 and Highway 16 in Butts County, approximately midway between Atlanta and Macon. The project, helmed by Bill Jones' firm, Interstate Healthcare Systems, well, I've heard that somewhere before, was recently expanded to include up to 11 million square feet of data centers alongside a hospital and a medical office space. Utility provider Georgia Power serves this region and has recently received approval from the Georgia Public Service Commission for a $16 billion expansion specifically to meet the high energy demand for data centers like the ones proposed for River Park. No, hell no. No, that can't be true. That didn't happen. No. Shit. No, it didn't happen. It's got to be wrong. This can't be true. And I'm the bad guy. Don't forget, never forget, never forget. Don't ever let it go away. I'm the bad guy. Yes, the bad guy. That would be me. I do enjoy that, though. Let's do that one more time. Yes. Georgia Power is a utility provider for the area in Butts County, where Bill Jones, father of Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, is developing the massive... Now, if this is wrong, somebody could say this is wrong. I'm like, holy shit. Excuse my language. I apologize for that. If you got any kids around, bleep it out, or just whatever. The location, here's the details. Location, development, 1,200 acres. So AI knows it's on I-75, Highway 16, Butts County. The scope, the project helmed Bill Jones' firm Interstate Healthcare System was recently expanded to include 11 million square feet of data centers. Now let's go to the utility provider. Georgia Power serves the region and has recently received approval from the Georgia Public Service Commission for $16 billion expansion. Specifically, that's a big word. You know me, when I start going for those multiple syllables, you know I get wound up. I can hit those multiple syllables every once in a while. Specifically, I got it. To meet the high energy demand of data centers like the one proposed for River Park. I don't know what I just came up with. I don't know. Let's do this one more time. I just want to do this one more time. Just for blanks and giggles, right? Is that what they do? Blanks and giggles?
There is no data center on any real estate that we have, and you know, they used to try to say it was a hospital. Well, when that didn't get any traction, they turned it to a data center. And, well, guess what? There's neither. You can come down here, Ben. You know where I live. There is no property that we have that exists that has been sold to a data center. You know, there is no data center on any real estate that we have, and you know, they used to try to say it was a hospital. Well, when that didn't get any traction.
Man. So I don't know. I really don't know. And I really don't know. I mean, I'm just like, I'm perplexed. Maybe Vicky Consiglio can help him figure out. Bert. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I mean, you know, I don't trust any of them down there at the I don't trust any of them down there at the Capitol. So this week, this AI, Rick Jackson puts this song out. It is friggin', I mean, it's AI, but it's really good. And what they obviously did was they wrote his story, and they went back and wrote different lines on his story and come up with some lines, plugged it into AI, and they came up with a really neat. Rick Jackson looks to AI to give his campaign a country music boost, and then we have the right here. A month ago, billionaire Rick Jackson entered the race for Georgia governor. The contest hasn't looked the same since. He surged into early polling, blanketing the airwaves, and recently targeting Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, the race's frontrunner. His legal team won, a stinging blow to Jones, saying, you can't use the dark money any longer. And here's what I meant earlier. I mean, what's going on with the Jones campaign? This is the best response they have. The Jones campaign mocked the effort, while Trump-endorsed Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones is out earning support from real Georgians, Rick Jackson continues to try and buy the state and prompt ChatGPT when his overpaid consultants run out of ideas. Kylie Lott, is that her name? They're out of ideas. I don't know what's next. But the Burt Jones campaign, and I tell you this, it doesn't matter. For those of you that are just so angry at me right now, I told you last year in December, I don't know Rick Jackson. Last year in December, I didn't know he's going to run. I don't know this. I was as shocked that this billionaire put his name in a hat just like you. But I know this. I have the tape from December last year where I told you that this legislative session would have every political stunt possible, and you're not to trust it on any level. I've asked you that over and over. And right there from the Senate, okay? Right there from the Senate, the bill, okay? Let me see where it's at here again. I'm going to get it up because I'm getting ready to close. The bill right here from the Senate, had it a minute ago. Senate Bill 34. Last Thursday, they gutted the bill in committee. Georgia Power, right? It would force data centers to pay for their power. But it was gutted. Georgia Power, don't forget. Everything I showed you this morning. And every political stunt. So I would be watching these political stunts. Now I'm going to come back later because I just have to get another. This story is too deep because this is the one right here that I have to come back for. I told you this several weeks ago. Burns unveils plan to eliminate property tax on Georgia homes. I've got to do another segment on that. I've been reading everything on it. The bill is out there. It's HB 1116. Start reading it. I will get back to you. I promise. But here is my question before I leave. Now remember, for those of you out there, when you hear vote red, right? You hear vote red. I want to look at you and ask you a question. Because I will tell you this. This is as far as I'm going to go right now. Because I want you to talk to me. Right? If Burt Jones is the nominee for the Georgia Republican Party, I will support him and I will legally vote for him. Yes, I will. I will never come on here and tell you to do anything where your vote's concerned. But I will. If Burt Jones is the nominee of the Georgia Republican Party, I will vote for him and support him. But I want to know from you right now, and I'm going to say this a little forceful here. I want an answer. If Chris Carr is the nominee, and don't say, it'll never happen, don't do that. Let's just do it. Let's throw the hypothetical. If Chris Carr is the nominee, will you vote red? If Clark Dean is the nominee, will you vote red? If Rick Jackson is the nominee, will you vote red? But here's the one I really want to know. If you come down to Brad Raffensperger, the Republican nominee for Georgia, on the ballot in the general election, will you vote red? I want to know. You've been told you have to. I want to know. And if not, are you prepared for a Democrat to take the governor's office? We're going to talk about it whether you want to or not because we have to. All right, so, yesterday in a quick close for today, yesterday they brought Bill Clinton in, right? Wait a minute, where is it at here? Here it is. Yesterday they brought Bill Clinton in, or this week. And awkward moment, Bill Clinton is grilled over Epstein's hot tub photo as ex-president smiles at old photos with pedophile. So they brought Bill in. Bill, do you remember this picture here? You had your hands back. You were looking across the jacuzzi in that pool. What were you thinking? Man, I was in that pool. Jeffrey called me up and told me, come on down. I was in that pool, and I was looking across that pool, and I was saying, well, look at there. That Jeffrey, he could host a party. He sure could. That water was warm. I looked at those girls. I said, come on in, girls. Right? I'm not in my Bill Clinton mood, but right. So that's Bill Clinton. Sorry. But then they got Hillary up there, right? They put Hillary up there, right? Hillary got. I will leave right now. Hold me in contempt. My question to you is, if Democrats get control, if and when they get control, will you watch when they bring Donald Trump and Melania Trump in and question them? Oh, you don't think they will? Crossover week in Georgia, we got to come back and put together, I have another very clear, the political stunt, what's happening in the Gold Dome. They're not cutting your taxes, folks. I'll be back later. Let me get everything where I want it to be. Don't forget, I'm your host, BKP, and this is the Georgia, not the Georgia Hour. I don't know how long we had up here today, but go to our Substack on Vora Substack, and check us out. And at BKP, Vora at BKP, and we have voiceofruralamerica.com on X, Rumble, YouTube, you name it, Facebook. We're there. It's going to be a long week. Crossover.
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.